50 years ago tomorrow, an indelible memory for anyone alive then. President John Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas.
Yeah, most Americans still don't believe we know who did it. And that's in large part because the Warren Commission investigation of the murder had so many gaping holes. One theory that was not explored in the Warren report was the idea that organized crime figures, some with ties to Las Vegas, might have been responsible. A subsequent federal investigation found that Lee Harvey Oswald may not have acted alone after all. The I-Team's George Knapp reports on why those suspicions focused on Las Vegas.
The idea that the CIA might enter into a pact with the mafia to murder a political leader might sound absurd, but it happened, and it began right here in Las Vegas, less than a mile from where we're standing. The target was Fidel Castro.
The attempts on Castro were really never fully tried.
Before he died years ago, Las Vegas businessman and private eye Robert Mayhew confirmed that he was the point man in an audacious plot cooked up by the CIA. Mayhew recruited Las Vegas mob ambassador Johnny Roselli, who in turn brought in mafia kingpins Sam Giancana of Chicago and Santos Traficante of Florida. At least 5 attempts were made on Castro's life. The Warren Commission didn't even mention Operation Mongoose, a glaring omission, given that a later probe by the House found that JFK probably was the victim of a conspiracy and that the same mob figures might have been in on it. For investigators, the tip-off came when mob crony Jack Ruby gunned down Lee Harvey Oswald.
It's a standard mob hit to shut up the guy. Just looks that way.
Law professor Robert Blakey was the lead counsel for the House investigation. He appeared last month at the Mob Museum and thinks there is no question the mob was involved in the events of Dallas.
It's my speculation is that Oswald was to be shot as he came out of the building. It aborted. He got out.
Part of Blakey's investigation focused on Las Vegas connections. Jack Ruby's close friend, Louis McWillie, was among the dozens of Las Vegans interviewed. Ruby had been in frequent contact with McWillie leading up to Dallas. Some investigators think the Las Vegas plotters were joined by ousted Teamster boss Jimmy Hoffa and by New Orleans Mafia chief Carlos Marcello, both of whom had their own reasons for wanting the Kennedys dead. One longtime Las Vegas man claimed to have first-hand knowledge.
Oh, yeah, I was inside with the mob. I mean, I really got to know them.
Investigator Ed Becker gave us this interview before he died. He was a close friend and biographer of Johnny Roselli and worked as a private eye for Louisiana crime lord Carlos Marcello.
He'd call me when he came into town. I'd have drinks with him. I'd go into his house and got to know him very well. And so now I'm feeling pretty strong with him. So I just said to him, geez, you've had a tough time with the Kennedys, haven't you? Oh my God, he started yelling and screaming what rotten people they were, and dirty name, dirty name. So then he starts telling me that he's gonna kill him one of these days. I said, kill Bobby Kennedy? I said, God, the president he'll have the National Guard here and the Army out after you. Then he started telling me in sort of a vernacular, Italian vernacular, no, you got to kill the president, you know. Chop off of the head, the tail dies. You no more wagging the tail.
Marcello later told Becker how and where it would be done, in Dallas with multiple shooters and a patsy.
Carlos had said, what you do is you get a nut and you put him up in front and he does all the dirty work and you're clean from behind.
Becker says he was questioned by the FBI not long after meeting with Marcello because the feds had Marcello bugged. A week after Dallas, he was questioned again by the feds and was grilled years later by Blakey's committee. But no one believed him, he says, though Blakey came to the same conclusion about the mob on his own. Blakey learned, for instance, that Lee Oswald had worked for Marcello in the summer of '63 and that Marcello was a hidden owner in Jack Ruby's Dallas nightclub.
It's not widely known, but Marcello had a 50% ownership of the carousel. And at one stage, he was skimming on Marcello. So Marcello went to talk to him, and he's like crawling on the floor, afraid of him. Oswald's in jail, a telephone, Jack, got something I want you to do.
Johnny Roselli, Sam Giancana, Carlos Marcello, and Jimmy Hoffa each confided in close friends that they were, in fact, part of a plot to kill Kennedy. They bragged about it. 3 of the 4 were murdered. George Knapp, 8 News Now.
Johnny Roselli, whose body was found floating in an oil drum, told the late Ed Becker that the mob brought in a pair of Cuban sharpshooters to carry out the assassination.